का टीकाकरण लिख रहा एक नया इतिहास है, शतकोटि गर्व एहसास है, ये एक नया इतिहास है.
India hits the historic century mark. $100 crores jabbed. 1 billion doses administered. The Prime Minister speaks to the nation, calls it a moment in history.
100 साल में आई सबसे बड़ी महामारी का मुकाबला करने के लिए देश के पास अब 100 करोड़ वैक्सीन डोज का मजबूत सुरक्षा कवच है.
The opposition laments. No time to celebrate, but acknowledge those we lost. Top focus on To The Point this evening. Good evening, you're watching To The Point. I'm Preeti Chaudhary. Viewers, as India hit the 1 billion mark in giving 1 billion vaccines to people, massive politics rife. The opposition asking one question: is this a time to celebrate or to remember the dead of those we lost in the second wave? As India etched history by hitting the billion-dose landmark, celebrations marked a collective sigh of relief. The world lauded. And the Modi government pulled out all the stops to commemorate the feat, which seemed unthinkable.
जब 100 साल की सबसे बड़ी महामारी आई तो भारत पर सवाल उठने लगे. भांति-भांति के सवाल थे. लेकिन आज ये 100 करोड़ वैक्सीन डोज हर सवाल का जवाब दे रहा है.
The might of Modi's cabinet, BJP leaders went to town on reaching the billion vaccine mark. Social media was on fire with congratulatory messages pouring in for the Modi government. Monuments across the country were lit up in the tricolour. It truly was a monumental feat. And then exploded the politics. Along with it, an eerie reminder of the toll the second wave took, when India struggled to breathe, when lives were cheap and a government inadequate. The opposition tearing into the Modi government that this was no time to celebrate, but to think of the lives we lost in the brutal second wave.
The Prime Minister's address to the nation comes as an insult to all those people who've lost their loved ones. What are we complimenting ourselves for? In the entire world, there are 2 countries with 100 million plus population, and we are on number 2 in providing 100 million doses. So in a class of 2 students, we are on number 2, and what are we celebrating?
जो आपदा का समय था, कई लोगों ने हमारी सेहत की वैक्सीन पर सियासी वैक्सीन चलाने की कोशिश की, लेकिन लोगों ने उस सियासी वैक्सीन को ध्वस्त कर दिया, फाड़ दिया और कहा कि हम सेहत की वैक्सीन के साथ खड़े हुए हैं. नरेंद्र मोदी जी का जो नेतृत्व है उसके प्रति हम विश्वास रखते हैं.
The opposition hammering unrelentless, claiming to refresh short public memory, wanting an apology for those who perished and a word of caution that the pandemic isn't over yet.
हमें अपनी खुशी में ये भी ध्यान देना होगा कि 31% ही हमारी आबादी फुली वैक्सीनेटेड है. उस नंबर्स को बढ़ाना होगा. जो 12 से 18 साल के यंग अडल्ट्स हैं, जो पूरी दुनिया में, विश्व में लोगों को वैक्सीनेट करने लग गए हैं, वो अब तक हमारे यहाँ पे शुरू नहीं हुआ है. और साथ ही साथ अगर तीसरी लत बाकी देशों में आ रही है तो हमें भी उस पर ध्यान देना जरूरी है और अपनी सारी जो तैयारी है उस पर केंद्रित करना जरूरी है.
2 ही मुल्क है जिसकी आबादी 125 करोड़ से ज्यादा. 2 डोज मिले हैं सिर्फ 21% लोगों को. जब तक ये पूरा नहीं होगा, और प्रधानमंत्री का खुद का आश्वासन है कि साल के अंत तक हमारे देश के अंदर जितने भी जो एडल्ट है उन सब का वैक्सीनेशन किया जाएगा. ये अभी बाकी है, करना है, इस पे ध्यान दें.
The Prime Minister basking in the 1 billion mark glory, addressed the nation, even changing his Twitter profile picture to commemorate the milestone. The opposition lamenting, not a time to celebrate, but a time to acknowledge our loss. There's so many we couldn't save. Bureau Report, India Today. Because there's no denying that it's a momentous occasion that India has marked the 1 billion jabs record. It's historic. The opposition says, yes, it's historic, accept that, but don't celebrate because we've lost too many people. We all know what happened in the second wave. We'll take it now to our political panel. Is it a good idea to object at this point of time to mar celebrations when this is one moment in history? Or why not? Because so many of us lost so many of our own at that point of time. Should we celebrate, or should we now bow our heads to those we have lost? Cutting across to our political panel, I have Dr. Ajoy Kumar from the Congress. I have Tuhin Sinha from the Bharatiya Janata Party. Dr. Kumar, I'd like to begin with you. You know, public memory is short, but is it really a good time to remind them on a momentous occasion when we mark the 1 billion COVID vaccine milestone? Or should we have waited, maybe, before we bring up, it's not time to celebrate? It is a time to celebrate. We have marked 1 billion doses.
Look, Preeti, the fact is that we have done 1 billion doses is definitely a positive step, and there's no debate. I don't think the Congress or anybody is saying that. The question again is to make it an event. The Bharatiya Janata Party is singularly guilty of hagiography one. So it's the Prime Minister who seems to be all that which is happening in this country, which they want to take credit as the Prime Ministers. Then is the Bharatiya Janata Party, and the nation is last. The question again is, it's a milestone, recognize it, good thing, Prime Minister should address it. But is it something to celebrate is first question. The danger in celebrating is that it becomes a political event management, which is traditional Bharatiya Janata Party style, so that's not the issue. But the important question is, since the opposition has continuously been, and the Congress party in particular has been continuously been raising questions which are relevant for this whole vaccination process. If you remember, they had this crazy idea about states procuring directly, and then the government, and then the state governments and the Congress in particular putting a lot of pressure on the government, and then they changed their policies. Despite that, they still continue to reserve 25% vaccines for the private sector. And the private sector has only used 2% of it. So my question is, it's a milestone. We all are proud as Indians for the quality thing. And there's no debate on that. But it's so crass to, celebrate it the way they did it. I'm happy that we have achieved this milestone. But celebration, I mean, how much compensation have we given to the people who died? Is it a question which continues to trouble us?
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. I'll cut across, to Tuhin Sinha from the Bharatiya Janata Party. Mr. Sinha, the fact is, yes, it's a momentous occasion. Yes, it's historic. But could we have done away with the chest beating of it all, considering the dark narrative that this milestone is built on? You and I both know what went down in the second wave.
Well, Preeti, 100 crore vaccine doses in 280 days is nothing short of exceptional when you consider India's past record. When India became polio-free in 2013, we were the third last country to become polio-free after a 30-year, process of vaccinations. So over here, our performance is nothing short of exceptional, especially when you consider that tiny countries like New Zealand with a minuscule population of 50 lakhs have been struggling with their vaccination numbers. In US, 86% of the total population has been vaccinated with double doses. In India, the figure has crossed 70%. US has 1/4 the population of India. So first of all, I think purely on account of percentages, I don't think we are doing badly. Yes, the Congress tends to be logically challenged. But in April, they were, harping on the actual casualties, the actual numbers, but now they want to only focus on percentages. Rest assured, in the next 3 months, we are committed to attaining a near 100% double vaccination. There are challenges. There are people who are still shying away from vaccination. One actress, in fact, 2 days ago, who got vaccinated was very proud in saying that, I avoided vaccination. These are problems which all countries are facing. So I don't think the Congress should politicize this issue. They should look at the positives. And I think India's performance is truly exceptional.
Mr. Sinha, that's what nobody's taking away from that, because the percentages, yes, it's a monumental feat with what we have achieved with the 1 billion mark, even though about 31% has a double dose yet. So that percentage matters, but more than that, the question is, yes, it's a big milestone. Accept it somberly and move on, because look at what it's built on. The thousands we lost, lakhs we lost, who died in the second wave.
Really, the deaths were absolutely tragic. Nobody denies that. But the celebration, if at all it is needed, it is to boost the confidence of the vast infrastructure of people, including scientists, including, people, the IT people who have managed the brilliant COVID app, which is being adopted by 50 other countries. It is important to celebrate the role of health workers. I think we take a lot of pride in all the people who are behind the scenes, who have put in their efforts in making this vaccination process a huge success.
All right, okay, Dr. Kumar, Mr. Sinha has a point, because somewhere down the line, just in sheer numbers that we have vaccinated in this time, it is a triumph of the human spirit. It's an ode to all those faceless frontline workers who have gone beyond the call of duty to vaccinate people. It's a celebration of those people. Why are we looking at it as a celebration of the government?
No, because it's the ode to the Prime Minister, and it has become odious for the people who are actually working. I mean, where have you heard the frontline workers? I mean, it's only, are we recognizing them? Are we doing anything which is, from a perspective of enhancing it? Even something like monetary compensation, what the frontline workers have been struggling, that is the ASHA workers, everything else. But Preeti, it's also built on, this nation has never seen 80 crore people standing in line waiting for a food ration to be delivered with Mr. Modi's photo on the bag. We have 80 crore people who are ready to stand because they are actually at the stage of acute crisis of earning, acute crisis of hunger, and this is 80 crores out of 130 who are standing in line and getting this free ration. Okay. Now my question is, my only question to this government is, why is the government not recognizing the untold, unbelievable misery across? And Twin is a sensible guy, and I'm sure they would recognize it. But since it's in the BJP to continuously even to create an event and everything else, I mean, now the ringtone also says, so that's a different issue. They know how to market, and everything is a political event, but that's fine, and that's how governance has to be. But my question is, 4.5 lakh people have officially died. The surveys say close to 40 lakhs. Now, I don't know what the number is, but any sensible government in modern times with democracy, that was the numbers, would have instituted an inquiry commission to get to the facts, so that 50,000 rupees, instead of going only to 4,50,000, may go to 10 lakh families, may go to 20 lakh families, may go to even only 4 lakh families. Okay. But let us know first the truth, because they are also Indians. And they are people who have lost people. So my only grouse with the BJP is that you are in power, you got everything else. We acknowledge you. We will stand and do a Surya Namaskar if these guys want it. But at least do a commission to find out who are the actual people who died, so that those 50,000, but still some amount. Okay. To families who have lost their members. Second, pretty last. Twin and everybody has to recognize that 80 crore people in this country are still depending on free ration. And we need to fix that. I mean, we can't celebrate the misery of job losses and people struggling with hunger.
All right, okay. So, Mr. Sinha, the fact is, nobody, one shouldn't really pull out analogies of war, but many people did link the fight against COVID to fighting a war. Even in our history, when we won the 71, when we won the 65, when we won the Kargil, it was somber. You didn't celebrate, you remembered those who had fallen in the line of that war. And to make an event of it all is a little crass, is what many are saying right now. Accept it. Yes, it's a big historic feat that you have come to, but the path to it wasn't easy, and many of them haven't reached here to see this day.
Preeti, times have changed. Today, in the social media age, when the Prime Minister goes and meets health workers or, does a Zoom call with them, I think the very fact they are getting to interact with the Prime Minister boosts their confidence. That the meeting is reported on the social media and the psychology of people better. I think you would give it to us. That is precisely the reason why we've done so well in the last 8 years. So I think we understand the psyche of people. They had problems with us, observing Janata curfew, with clapping and all of that. So all of these have only motivated the people.
Okay.
And finally, Ajay, he was mentioning about the death casualties. Every death is extremely tragic. But my point is that you would, when you talk about deaths, you would talk about it, deaths per million, right? And compare it with different countries. If you want to go by China's...
I would, okay. Mr. Sinha, the fact is, let's not go into the death figures because they've been highly contested and controversial. We really don't know how many we've lost. And that's a fact I'm sure even you'd admit to, but I want to...
And that holds true for all the countries.
Okay, Dr. Kumar, I want to bring you in, sir, back into this conversation. The fact is, why not make it an event? Because there is so much that has gone down. The entire country has lived under a cloud, and the darkest of it all. Maybe we need an event to celebrate.
The issue is, when you're in governance, you need to look at what the country's present situation is. The majority of the people, Preeti, are struggling to make ends meet. Majority. These celebrations will give you the feeling that everything is normal, and they want to get, and probably that's the intent. So, they're a political party and they would continue to do their best to divert the attention of the people, because the things on the ground, forget the petrol being 115 rupees or the gas cylinder being 1,000 rupees. That's one thing which is already, and the inflation going haywire. But that's one aspect. But the most important thing is that the earning capacity. I keep telling people from the BJP, I'll just finish with that 80 crore people are standing in line to get that Jola with Prime Minister Modi's photo. I don't know what it takes for a man who has been a middle-class person to go on that line and get a free ration, because he just can't afford to feed his family. Now, there is nothing which is being addressed on that front. And that is a fact. And I hope, sensible guys, most of the BJP spokesperson, and they're not dumb, so they're smart guys and they understand that.
Okay.
So I just hope that they're able to communicate this, that let's,
all right. So, Mr. Sinha,
with them,
okay.
the Prime Minister.
Mr. Sinha, the fact is, I want to quickly come down to you. For those, and there have been many of us, I think individually all of us know one person who's seen the worst of COVID, or his family has. People who have lost friends and family. For them, would you reckon when you see all of these visuals, it's mocking them in their face on what they've been through?
On the contrary, I feel even, they realize they need to move on. And this celebration, where we are purely acknowledging the work of people who have worked relentlessly behind the scenes, gives them the confidence that, yes, the worst is behind us. I don't see a problem why Congress is so pessimistic, or, why it tends to always believe reports from New York Times on the numbers of countries in India.
Okay, I need to close the show. I'm so sorry, but, one small observation. You can't tell somebody it's time to move on. It's for them to decide when they move on or not. We leave it for our viewers to decide. It was a momentous occasion. Yes, we marked the 1 billion milestone. Should we have made an event of it? Maybe yes. Many would say we need an event. We've lived under this darkest cloud of COVID. Some would say no. Be somber. Respect who have fallen through the way to reach this landmark. A quick break. Up next is Rahul Kanwal.